Hello and welcome to my channel Crying Fly. My name is Steve, and in this video I would like to show you how we can optimizing some projects here with the Workspace Generative Design. Okay, what we can see now here in the design workspace is my desk, what I have created here in Autodesk Fusion 360, and we can see the table button. This is this one here. Then we can see this middle part of this table, what we will optimizing later here in Autodesk Fusion 360. Then we have here these two plates here, and the last one is here the floor. So okay, then we change to the design to the generative design. So, and then we are here on the generative design workspace, and here you can see also my desk what I have created here, but it's so that you can see here now different colors: red, yellow and green. And these colors we must add to these bodies here with these functions here: reverse geometry, obstacle geometry, starting shape, obstacle offset, and yes. But before we come to the next, where I show you how you can create a new study and so on, I will show what we can make here in this workspace. And here we see now different functions what we can use here, and the first one is here the guide toggle learning panel. Okay, in my other video where I have created this video in German, I doesn't get here this learning panel. Okay, maybe it's only for English, and okay, so I close this. Then we have the next one here, study. Okay, here the study, and we can here create a new generative study. And we have also here an options for study settings. Okay, when I click here on study settings, then we get this window here where we can configuring here the resolution of our study. Here fine, and here the other one, and yes, but I cancel this one here now. Then for me it's okay when we have configured this one here, so cancel. Then we have here the option for edit model. When I click on this one, then we get other functions here, what we can doing here with our model here. And when I click here on create, then we can see a lot of functions: extrude, create a sketch, sweep, box, or here by modify, remove features, remove faces, press pole, scale, and here construct, inspect. And yes, these functions here are the same functions when we are here in the design workspace, and so we can modifying this model here also here in this workspace. So I closing this. So then we are back here, and the next one is the design space, where we can set up the reverse geometry, obstacle geometry, and the starting shape, or here the last one, obstacle offset. And when we look here to my desk, then we can see three different colors: red, green, yellow. And yellow is the starting shape. This is this body what we optimizing later here in this workspace. Then we have here the obstacle geometry. These are the red bodies here, and by these red bodies is so that we doesn't use these bodies for calculating in our study when we optimizing this starting shape here as this yellow body here. And yes, so and then we have here the green one, the green bodies, Prereal geometry, and these green bodies we use for our calculating later, but it's so that we don't doesn't optimizing these two bodies here. Okay, only this yellow body we will optimizing here in Autodesk Fusion 360 into the workspace generative design. So come on. So then we come to the next one, design conditions. There we have three options: structural constraints, structural loads, and load case attributes. The first one is your structural constraints. Then we have here on the right side these options where we can set up the type, fixed, pin or frictionless. Then the targets where we can selecting the face. Maybe here where we can see this one here, this icon, and so we know that I have fixed this body here to the starting shape. Okay, so I cancel this. Then we have here the structural loads where we can select this type here, force, pressure, moment or bearing load. I have selected this type here, force. And when I go here on this one, come on. Okay, I must maybe clicking here on cancel, and now you can see this one. Okay, here this blue arrows here. So and then we have also another arrow, this yellow arrow. This yellow arrow is here for, where is it? Loads, here for the gravity. Okay, and so we have two arrows here, the blue one for the force, and here the yellow arrow for the gravity. Okay, so and the last one here by the design conditions is here load case attributes, and here we get an overview about all our loads and constraints. And here you can see gravity, force. I have give it this one 1000 Newton, and here we can see the constraints, fix it. Okay, yes. So I closing this, and then we come to the next one, design criteria. There we have two options, objectives and manufacturing. Objectives, we can here on the right side select minimize mass of this yellow body here. Okay, or we can select maximize stiffness, and when I click here on maximize stiffness, then we get here another option where we can set up here the mass target. Okay, maybe here 100 kilo. Okay, and we have here another options also where we can set up the safety factor. Here is it 2.0, but it's so I have selected for my study the minimize mass. Okay, so then I click here on cancel, and we come to the next option here, manufacturing. So, and now we get a lot of options here, what you can see now. So, and then here we have here on the first point the cost estimation, and okay, now I can see here that I doesn't get here any font bugs. This description here, okay, I think when I use here Autodesk Fusion 360 in English, then I doesn't get these font bugs. Then in my other video where I have created this video in German, I get some font bugs, and yes, here I doesn't get this one. Okay, I think it's good to know it. And yes, so cost estimation. Estimation manufacturing costs for the final iteration of outcomes based on the Prereal cost technology and data production volume, outcome geometry, material manufacturing process, and locating of manufacturer. Okay, so when we activating this option here, cost estimation, then Autodesk Fusion 360 calculating how much does it cost when we creating or manufacturing this desk here later with these operations here, additive for 3D printing maybe, milling, or here 2-axis cutting, or die casting. It's so for my structural study 1 here, I doesn't use this option here. Okay, so then we have here unrestricted, excludes manufacturing constraints from the outcome generation to support exploration and prototyping in the design process. Okay, this is very cool. Okay, so then we come to the next additive, and this specific process that builds the part by adding material layer on layer, also call it 3D printing. And what is very cool here and on any time here in Autodesk Fusion 360, when I go here over this option here maybe, or this one here, then we get here on every time a description where we can learn it more about this function or option. Okay, so then we can here set up the orientation, C, Y or X orientation, include all 6 directions. Okay, overhang angle, yes, minimum thickness. Okay, and we come to this one here, milling, and here we can see the first configuration, and here is set up a 3-axis CNC machine, and we have also here some other options where we can select here 2.5 axis or 3 axis or 5 axis. Okay, or you adding here a new configuration when I click here on this plus icon, and then I can here select maybe here 5 axis. And it's so that Autodesk Fusion 360 optimizing this starting shape with the additive process and with the milling process. But here in the milling process, Autodesk Fusion 360 optimizing with this first configuration where we use 3 axis, and also here the configuration 2 where we use 5 axis. And then it can be so that maybe the configuration 2 where we use 5 axis is cheaper than the configuration 1 where we have 3 axis. And so it's very important for you to know when you have different machines for manufacturing your projects, maybe here for this example, this table here, then it's very important that you adding all these machines here or processes what we can selecting here additive, milling, 2-axis cutting, die casting, and then you get the best choice what you can use to manufacturing your model. Okay, so I have select additive and milling. Okay, so and when we come back here to the milling process, then we have here also three options what we can set up here. Minimum tool diameter 10 millimeters. Okay, here tool diameter, then we can see here shoulder length, shaft and holder. Okay, tool shoulder length 40 millimeters. Okay, and so we can see step by step what we configuring here in this step. Okay, and the last one is here head diameter, and the number 6 is head. Okay, so then we come to this process here where we can use laser, water jet or plasma cutting. Okay, I click here and now you can see two options here also. Minimum wall thickness 5 millimeters. Okay, and the cutting direction. See, cutting direction, Y cutting direction and X cutting direction. Okay, and the last one here is die casting, and when I click here, yes, okay, minimum draft angle. Okay, minimum thickness 1.50 millimeters. Okay, and here maximum thickness, and here the ejection direction. Okay, so when I click now here on die casting maybe, then I get this information here. The method you selected is one of our advanced manufacturing methods. They are part of our Prereal program so that we can collect feedback. Would you like to enable die casting now? Okay, we can enabling this one now or cancel, but I will show you another one where you can also activating this Prereal function here. And so I click here now on cancel and click here on my picture and click here, and now we come to this one here where we have many options where we can configuring our Autodesk Fusion 360, but we go to this one here, Prereal Features, and here you can see now that I have activated this option here, high dBE scaling, what is only for Windows, but it's so that we running this program here with Wine, and so we can also using this option here on Linux. So mesh workspace. Okay, and yes, here generative design, die casting, and when I click here on this one, then we have activated this new manufacturing method, and it enables you to generate outcomes which can be manufactured using die casting operations. And so you get now another way to activating maybe this new processes here, what we can use here in Autodesk Fusion 360 for optimizing this model here into the generative design workspace. Okay, so and then I can see here another one, experimental generative solvers and features. Okay, allows the use of in development experimental solver technologies and features for the creation of generative outcomes. Features included all displacement limits, model limits, outcome symmetry, multiple shape engines and others. Okay, it's very interesting. So I think, okay, maybe it's a very good function to using this one for my other projects later. But yes, this function is here at the moment experimental. But I think I will testing this function here in the next time maybe, because I think it's very interesting to know what happens when I have activated this this option here. So then we can see maybe here also manufacturer simulation, and yes, I think it's very cool to know it that we have here also some options or functions that we can using here in Autodesk Fusion 360. But it's so Autodesk Fusion 360 doesn't activate all these functions here, and so I think it's good to know where you can activating or configuring these functions here in Autodesk Fusion 360. Okay, so then I deactivating this process here and click on cancel and cancel, and we come to the next one, materials, study materials and manage physical materials. When I click here on study materials, then we get this one here, and here we can set up the materials what we will use here for our model, maybe here for my table. And so I can maybe here click on metal, so and then I can selecting here some of these materials here, maybe here aluminium. Then I click here on this material aluminium and hold this and moving this one to this section here, add materials from libraries below. Okay, and now you can see I have adding this material here to this method here, all methods, unrestricted, additive, mining. So we have here also the options to selecting different materials for these processes here. And here by the library we have also the option where we can selecting the material library for these processes here. Fusion 360 material library. Okay, there we have all materials. Or here Fusion 360 additive material library. This is only for the 3D printing process. Then we have here Fusion 360 non-linear material library, or here the favorites. Okay, so here electronics, ceramic, fabric, and so on. So, and now we can see here this yellow icon here, out of date results, because it's so I have changed the material aluminium here for this calculating here, or for this optimizing here. So I closing this, and then we have here manage physical materials, and here you can see now this one, and yes, here you can see my material aluminium what I have configured here for this calculation, and here the other ones, ceramic, electronics, flooring, liquid, metal, plastic, stone, wood, and so on. And we have here other options. Here, open existing library, create a new library, create a category, or remove library, delete category, or rename. And the other one is here, create a new material, and now we get this window here where we can search maybe here for wood. Okay, flooring and wood. Then we get a list where we can see all materials in the wood category. Okay, so, and when I click maybe here, okay, then we can't see the other window. And the problem is now when I will cancel this here or closing, then we can't do it this. Okay, the solution is we minimize this window here or move it this one here, then this one, and then we can see this little window here again. Okay, then I closing this, and then I can also closing this one here. So, and then we come to this point here, generate, pre-checked, previewer, generate status, generate. When I click maybe here on pre-check, then we get this information here. The study setup has all the information required, and so we know that we can generate a study here, and so Autodesk Fusion 360 calculating or optimizing this desk here for us, especially this yellow body here, what I have configured here with this option here, starting shape, and yes. So then we have here preview, generates an outcome preview based on the study setup before you run a job. Okay, but this operation takes a long time, and this is the reason why I doesn't show this function here to you in this video. And we come to the next, generate. When I click on this, and now we can see here the status here ready. Then we can see here our structural study 1, what I have created, and here how many cloud credits cost when we will optimizing this desk here. Okay, but it's so that you can optimizing or calculating this study only over the cloud. And so you know, when you generate this study, then it's so that Autodesk Fusion 360 send all information and data to the server, and the server calculating all these things, and when it's finished, then we get the results where we can see which process is cheaper than the other one, or which process is the best one, this example. And yes, so but I click here on close because I have already completed or calculated a study for this model here. And yes, so then we come to generate a status. Here you can see it now. Solving is completed, okay. And here processing the outcome and open design. And yes, this process here I have showed it in my German video. And when I click maybe here open design, come on, and now you can see maybe here one of my optimized models here of my first study, what I have calculated in Autodesk Fusion 360 into the Generative Design workspace. And now it's so that I have here the options to modifying this model here in the design workspace. Maybe I can here click on this face and extruding this one here or here. And so we have another way to modifying all these models here after the process where Autodesk Fusion 360 optimizing our models. Okay, so I cancel this and closing this. Yes, don't save. Then we are back here, and yes, so the next one is generate details, and here we get some other informations here. Warning: one or more geometry regions have separated because they are not load bearing. Okay, the loads are probably too low or the material strength is too high. Yes. Okay. And job has finished. Okay, job has finished. Okay, so I closing this, and the last one where here explore generative results. Okay, and yes, inspect. Okay, but before we come to this point here, explore generative results, we create a new study where I show you how you can configuring these things here. Okay, so we click here on new generative study. So then we can see now here structural study 2, and all bodies have the color gray. Okay, and the first one is we click here on reverse geometry and selecting this body here and the table bottom here. So then I click on OK, and these bodies are now green. So the next one is the obstacle geometry. I click on this one, then I select the floor. Okay, and my tabletop. So okay, so and then we must configuring here the starting shape, and this one is this middle part here. So, and I click on OK, and then we have completed the design space here, because this option we doesn't need here for this example here. Okay, so then we can see now here by the pre-checked option, when I click on it, then we get here some informations. Here some important input is missing. Okay, incomplete setup. Okay, missing structural loads, and here missing constraints in the load case. Okay, so then we have two ways. The first one is we can maybe here click on structural constraints, and then we can configuring these things. Or the other one is we click here on this point, maybe here, click here to select structural loads. Okay, and then we have the second way to configuring these things. So the type is full. Okay, this is correct. Targets, okay, targets, I must hiding this, I must hiding here the obstacle geometry and select this face here. So then we can see here a lot of blue arrows, and we must set up here the magnitude, and I set up here 1000 Newton. And we have also some other options where we can set up here the direction type, maybe here the angle here, maybe here 40 degrees maybe, and the last one is here for vectors. Okay, so normal. Okay, flip directions here, and yes. So I click now here on OK, then I click again here on pre-check, and now we must configuring here the structural constraints, and I must hiding the starting shape now, and click here on this face, on the table bottom. Okay. No. So okay. And now we can see here the project is solved. The study setup has all the informations required. And so we have completed all these things, and we can generate this study here. But it's also important that you know that we must set up here the objectives, the manufacturing, and the materials. Okay, this is very important, because when we have configured the design space and the design contentions, we get here this information that the project is okay. But it's so that we doesn't have configured here the design criteria or the materials, and these things are also very important for our calculating, because it's so when we doesn't set up these things here, Autodesk Fusion 360 select maybe this one here. Where is it? This one, aluminium A356T6 for this calculating here. And this is very important for you that you know it, that you must configuring also here the design criteria and the materials when you get here this project, that you have the study setup has all the information required. Okay, so then we come to the last one, where I show you my results from my structural study 1. So I click here on explore generative results. Then we get this information here: one or more studies have not been generated yet, so their outcomes will not appear in explore. Do you want to generate these studies now? No, I will do that now here for this structural study 2. So I click here on no. And then we can see now, come on, my results here. The structure study 1, outcome 1, outcome 2, outcome 3. And here on the left side we can filtering all these processes. Maybe here I can deactivate it 3-axis milling. Then we can see here only these two models here, or maybe I deactivate also here additive. Then we have only this model here. Okay, so I activated the additive process and 3-axis milling process, and yes, then we have also here some other options where we can filtering here our results. Okay, so and here on the menu bar we have views, the thumbnail view, this is this one here. Then we have here the properties view, where we get all informations about these models here. Maybe here manufacturing method, 3-axis milling, or here unrestricted, or here where is it, additive, and yes, or here maybe the mass, or here the volume, or maybe here the min factor of safety, and yes. So then we have here the scatter plot view here, and now you can see here these two terms here, maybe the blue one and the green one. The green one is here the best one when we will manufacturing this table, and then we have also here other options what we can select in here. So, and the last one is here table view, and here you get an overview about all informations of these models here. Okay, here. So then we come back here to the thumbnail view, and then I opening maybe this one here, outcome 1. And now you can see this first optimized model here. Okay, and when we go here to the menu bar, then we can here changing the view, model view, transparent view, stress view, okay, high to low, okay, design view, okay, then we can see here the preserve geometry view, or here the obstacle geometry, or here the starting shape view. Okay, so then we can here compare this outcome 1 with another one. When I click maybe here, then I can select in this one maybe outcome 2, and then we see here outcome 1 on the left side and outcome 2 on the right side, and then we can compare these two models here. Okay, and when I click here on outcome 1 or outcome 2, we get here on the right side more information about this one. So I'm closing this maybe, yes, and here you can see design ready, click to continue. Okay, yes, it's so when you will maybe modifying this model later in Autodesk Fusion 360, then you have here two options here on create design from outcome or mesh design from outcome. And it's so I have selected this one, design from outcome, in my other video where I have showed this workspace, this design workspace in German. And so we have here now the options where we can modifying this model here in into the design workspace. Okay, so then we have here this option here where we can add this model to our favorites, or we can adding here a label. So, and I think I click maybe here on this one, design, click on continue. Okay, open design, yes, come on, where is it? Okay, it's loading, and we are here now in the design workspace. Now we can see here the model again, and we can modifying this one. Okay, so that was for today, and if you liked my video, then where's good when you give me a thumb up please, and don't forget to subscribe my channel Crying Fly, and don't forget to click on the little bell so you don't miss any news in the futures. Okay, goodbye.